ready? Are you 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 ready to get it? You ready for war? Live is back, are you ready for more? The waiting is over, it's time to get poppin'. We all wanna win it, just cash in the pocket. Be alive, nothing can top it. Fantasy's back, football's the topic. 50 down for 50 in profit. Boss at the top and we all wanna drop. I'm taking the spot, bury the coffin. Time for the action, enough for the talk. Time to get crackin', live is back. And speaking the facts, the champions boss is back to back. Don't happen that often, enjoy the throne. It's time to get off and welcome back. It's time to get started, time for the weak and the strong to be part. We're all in the war, fight to the finish. Mad about trades, but it's part of the business. Do what you need, it's all about winning. Try to be king on the division. Wanna be champ, that is the mission. Why with the flow? This is tradition. Ready to go, time for the show. Roll your bloods, get ready to blow. Get ready to hear the good and the bad. You might not agree, but it's only on facts. If you get ugly, yeah, that means you're whack. GENO and Matt, finally we're back. Analyzing and sharing the stats, giving opinions and checking the facts. Keep it six, built to the draft. A league of 10, let's see who get last. If your team stinks, it belongs in the trash. Race to the end, try not to crash. No one agrees, all of us clash. Something like Titan, Spider gets smashed. You better contend if you wanna be champ. If you won't pay attention, you don't have a chance. No chance to win if you don't have a plan. Get a chance at the shit, better win if you can. Yeah, PPL is back, I hope you're ready. PPL is back, I hope you're ready. PPL is back, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready.
PPL Live. Here we are. Week 10 is upon us. We are now officially in the home stretch, on our way, on our road to Pantheon Cup 14. I'm feeling good. Ulysses S. Haight is on the line. Say what's up to the people, Ulysses.
What's up, people?
We know what it is. It is week 10, but before we go to week 10, let's jump back to week 9, starting with Only for the Boss coming back and getting a huge win, 144 to 129 to push their Alpha Conference lead out front. Patty's Twins keeps their season on life support, get the win, 120 to TREY FIDDY's 117. The United play as the Destroyers, flex muscle in the prestige matchup of the week, get the big win to set out front in the Omega Conference, 136 to the Skull 71. Squad underestimated, keeps their winning ways going, get the big win, 120 to the Baby Gas Team's 98. And appease the gods, leaves no doubt to keep the gap in their misery, 153 to the Gaps, 115. Alrighty, PPL, it's time for our fantasy trends presented by Snickers Final Standings Projections. Starting at number 10, the Baby Gas Team, no change there. At number 9, we've got Patty's Twins. At 8, after the big win, appease the gods. What's going on here, Ulysses? 7, I need about TREY FIDDY. At 6, the Argonauts. 5, we've got the Gaff. Man, this shit's getting ridiculous. 4, the Skulls. At 3, we've got the United play as the Destroyers. 2, we've got Squad underestimated. And at number 1, we've got the Champs Only for the Boss. Man, what do you think of these final standing projections, man? These are getting crazier by the week.
I mean, you said it. I mean, Snickers apparently only care who come in first place and 10th place. Everybody else, throw them up in the air.
Right.
I think they at least got that right.
Nah, man, you know what it is. It's time to move on to our next segment, one that has become more and more popular since we've introduced it. It's time to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, man, week 9 was full of action. It was a pretty high-scoring week, pretty surprising week, man. What do you think? What was your good, bad, and ugly of week 9?
My good was appease the gods.
Okay.
I mean, they needed this win.
Definitely.
A 1-8 Gap team just haven't really been able to get things going at all this season. And then Joe Mixon played this weekend. Basically,
wow.
Handled this. One of the better things that happened for Appease the Gods, though, Cordell Patterson coming back.
Right, 2 TDs.
He's been missing this guy's productivity. I mean, when you look down the rest of the lineup, it wasn't great. Mike Evans, 6.5. Devonta, 3.2. Gesicki, 0.8. David Montgomery, 4.9, in a high-scoring Chicago affair. But again, that Patriots defense has been coming through with big game efforts pretty consistently, and then Bengals coach benefiting. Again, it was just a really good week for a piece of the gods. They needed that going back into conference play.
Right.
And again, positioning themselves down the stretch.
And what's your bat?
Bad for me was I need about TREY, man.
Okay.
He really, again, could have put himself in a position to really start locking up a playoff spot.
Right.
Looking at where teams are at right now, and just couldn't get it done. I mean, I love what I saw at Etienne, but again, everywhere else, this team has struggled to really consistently score. And this was one of their better efforts. And again, against a team like the Twins, I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers had one of the worst weeks I've seen.
Right.
Damian Pierce is an absolute beast.
Yes, he is.
But nobody really blew up on the Twins. They just actually had a consistent score line like they haven't for most of the season. I mean, for the most part, this is what they expect.
Right.
But except for like 30 from Aaron Rodgers. Again, it just wasn't the weekend for I need about TREY, FIDDY. I mean, they can absolutely get right, but
yeah.
I mean, it's going to get tough next week against squad underestimated.
Right.
Handle them week 1.
Yeah. And let me hear your ugly.
Yeah, I mean, it can only go in one place, right? I mean, the Skulls. I mean, this is our prestige matchup of the week. You damn near have to double the Skulls score line for them to come anywhere close to the UP, who just continue to outpace people. And
it's just always a bad matchup. Whenever these two teams get together, the United players seem to get at the Skulls for whatever reason.
Well, and I mean, why this is my ugly is we've got question marks around Josh Allen's health. And I mean, I've been talking about it most of the season. This is my MVP candidate. I mean, we're going to see it if he can't go. This also impacts his coach.
Yeah.
So there's question marks, and I mean, to top it off, you going into a week 10 playing only for the boss, hottest team in the PPL. Nobody can stop them. It's an ugly week for the Skulls, and I'm afraid it doesn't get any prettier.
No. Definitely gotta agree with that. It's gonna be a tough week for them. I'm gonna start off with my good. My good is their opponent, the United play as the Destroyers. And I had called this at the beginning of this season. You had talked about this team playing spoiler sport, and this team has done nothing but pace the Omega Conference, 7-2 record with a declining Tom Brady. You would think that they're doing it through smoke and mirrors, but no, they're doing it with Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp. Their calling card for the last couple of years now has got them sitting out in first place. Now, can they sustain it? That's going to be a whole nother issue. But up until this point, it's been a pretty damn good season for the United players, the Destroyers. They've been very impressive. And if they can, if guys can stay healthy and if Brady can start to pick up his play, the United players can be a big time threat in the PPL playoffs. My bad, man, is goals. This was a week that they could have easily put themselves out front in the Omega Conference. Instead, things just went horribly bad. Not only do you lose, but you lose potentially Josh Allen, who's day-to-day right now, but they're not sure what this injury is. A lot of the people up in the Bills Mafia are highly concerned, and so should the Skulls be. Now, I know they got Tua Tagovailoa, who will be able to fill in that spot, but he's no Josh Allen. He's not the number one QB in the game, and he's not going to be able to give them that production as a replacement. On top of the fact that they may have lost control over their chance to win the Omega Conference title in a first-round bye. So it was a really bad week for the Skulls. If injuries continue to catch up to them, a la what's going on with Jamar Chase, things can go from bad to worse for the Skulls. So it was just a bad week based on what happened on the field. And my ugly is a team that we don't really mention that much, but I'm just going to have to go there just based on how their matchup shook out, because they were actually in this one, and that's the Baby Gas team. Rarely do I go here for an ugly, but they really had an opportunity, I thought, to win this matchup. They're back to the drawing board. This was a must-win game for them in their season quest. They're not a team that we highlight very much, but at the same time, they also have a trajectory that they aim to hit. And after this loss to Squad Underestimated, they're just simply not going to hit it. They just needed to make a few more moves to find better wide receiver play earlier in the season. They failed to do that, and it really, really caught up to them, particularly in this matchup. I'm looking at DJ Moore with 3.4, and this isn't the first week. They go Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who gets them 2.4, and they just really needed to diversify throughout the season. And this is what happens when teams don't use their waiver wire claims and instead wait until 9:30 on Sunday morning to do their picks. It can lead to an ugly year. And despite, top 3 quarterback play and some good play from the running back position, the Baby Gas team have fumbled perhaps another season down the drain. So that's my ugly. But that being said, that's week 9. That's the past. And what we always say about that is prologue. It's time to move into the present of the PPL as we start off in the Omega Conference for a huge feud game as we start for a team looking to survive and keep their championship hopes alive, and another team of past championship glory trying to hold on to the life preservers. We got Patty's Twins taking on Appease the Gods. All right, man, so we got ATG rolling into this matchup, coming off of a Leave No Doubt performance, powered by Joe Mixon, Cordero Patterson, and another couple of the guys filling in. And then we got Patty's Twins coming off a much needed win, but it was not an Omega Conference win. They got an Alpha Conference victory over TREY FIDDY. What do you think of this one? ATG Patty's Twins.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, I really liked what I saw out of the Twins. I mean, I think probably their best performance of the season in a game that easily could have went the other way.
Right.
I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers has not been playing right, and I'll Damian Pierce right now would be my rookie of the year. I mean, this guy, I love how he runs.
Okay.
And it's just, I think that he will be a keeper on this team.
Definitely.
That, no doubt. So starting there, but with Appease the Gods, I mean, again, we're going to learn a lot about them this week because they're not going to have Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, or Joe Mixon all on the bye. And so who are they going with? They're going with Daniel Jones against Houston, which I think is viable. It's kind of risking some here going with Giants coach. Although, Houston's, again, it's all Damian Pierce. There are some injury concerns around Damian Pierce, and especially with his running style. I can definitely see that impacting him.
Right.
Mike McCarthy's going back to is going to be playing Aaron Rodgers, having him come into house. And then I look down the lineup though, I don't like Austin Eckler. It's going to be hard running against San Francisco.
Right.
Very stout. Pittman. I mean, again, she's been going there, and Deion Jackson. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's potentially in this game. There's not a lot there. Detroit has fallen off offensively, really hitting on my Ross St. Brown. I just don't think that whenever I look at the other side, that I think that Appease the Gods has higher scoring potential here. David Montgomery should have a good game against Detroit. Cordero Patterson, I mean, we just saw what Joe Mixon did to Carolina.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is a question mark. I like the Joshua Palmer play. And again, I think that probably the riskiest thing that Appease the Gods is doing is playing a coach here. The Twins have pretty much throughout the season gone without a coach.
Right.
I think he can afford to year 2. I think that might be the one downside, but I mean, hey, Vegas has the Giants winning, so I'll go there too.
Right.
I think that overall, I think Appease the Gods keeps pace here. He wins this one 112 to Patty's Twins 104.
All right. Nah, man, I think I'm going the other way, and it's because of what you said. No Joe Mixon, Mr. 50 points. No Lamar, no Mark Andrews. Those are huge, sources of points for Appease the Gods. I mean, and they're replacing them with Freiermuth. His range of outcomes is wide. Daniel Jones, also another wide range of outcomes. David Montgomery, wide range of outcomes. I do like the Cordero Patterson play. I like Mike Evans and I like Palmer. Devonta Smith, he's great on Monday night, but I mean, it's really a roll of the dice of whether he's going to get it done. Now, on the Twin side, you mentioned it. Dameon Pierce is injured, but I do believe that Jonathan Taylor should be coming back and take matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. Zach Ertz has been a great tight end play all season long. And if Amon-Ra St. Brown can get healthy, he's a big-time play as well. Rodgers at home against Dallas. He hasn't had a great year. I don't think that that's going to change much at all. They may want to even look at going somewhere else at quarterback. In the end, I think the Twins have just enough to get by, and they find a way to do it without Lamar Jackson there and without Joe Mixon there to help ATG. I got Patty's Twins getting this one 116 to ATG's 110. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into our second Omega Conference matchup of the week as we go into a matchup of teams on opposite sides of the spectrum, as we have the struggling Gaff Attack taking on the first place United Players, the Destroyers. All right, man, I just mentioned it. Both of these teams are sitting on opposite sides of the PPL. The Gaff Attack, who we figured would have a great year, is 1-8. I mean, every way you can lose, they found a way to lose this year. They probably can add a few more. On the United Players side, I mean, they found ways to just win. DeAndre Hopkins has been a great late season addition from his suspension. Cooper Kupp has obviously been what we've expected, and Derrick Henry's been a man amongst boys. Obviously, the Gaff has his Eagles triumvirate, but other than that, there's not much more to speak of. What do you think of this one, Gaff United Players?
I've actually got Gaff pulling an upset this week.
Okay.
What I'm seeing is a few things. You mentioned it. Doesn't help having Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and the Eagles playing a team that in the Washington Commanders that they should really handle.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really see what's going to hold that back. I mean, from those three, you should probably expect 70 points if things go to plan.
Okay.
I'll also say on the other side, one of my favorite pickups of late, Kenneth Walker the third.
Right.
The way that this guy's running, and again, Tampa Bay, I think he could have a very effective day there. You're right. I mean, there's other areas that are to be desired, but again, TJ Hawkinson, I think the move to Minnesota has been opportune. Minnesota is known for going there, and I think that Kirk Cousins, we started already to see that rapport start to come together.
Right.
I don't see why CeeDee Lamb shouldn't be involved in whatever happens with Green Bay. So we're going to see a defensive showdown potentially with the Bills, Minnesota. I don't know. But whenever I look at the other side, again, Tom Brady, Seattle, I mean, I think that he could easily have a high-scoring game. So could Derrick Henry. DeAndre Swift, again, I've got questions about that Detroit offense.
Yeah.
We just heard Cooper is going to be potentially without Matthew Stafford this week, who's in concussion protocol.
Right.
So that may disrupt what's going on. Can't argue with what you said about DeAndre. Don't like Tanyan. I mean, any wide receiver in Green Bay or tight end, I think is a mistake.
Okay.
No Michael Carter. I mean, he's got several other options, but I don't think that the Dolphins beat Cleveland. I think Cleveland gets them.
Okay.
I think, what I saw Justin Fields do to Cleveland last week, I mean, I think Jacoby Brissett and company could, and I think Cleveland's defense can hang. So I think that right now, I just think that Eagles play is just more solid. And I've got Gaff in an upset here, going 131 to United Players 124.
Okay. I'm going the other way, man. I think that the United Players can get this one. They found a way to get it done all year long to outscore their opponents. I think that they get somebody in the flex, possibly Juju Smith-Schuster, who looked pretty good Sunday night in that matchup against the Tennessee Titans. I expect that rapport to continue to grow, and I expect them to get a defense in the lineup. On the Gaff side, I mean, it's always even last week, it looked like they should win. The week before, it looked like they should win. You look at the lineup, everything looks perfect. Everything looks great. They're projected to win. And then for whatever reason, once the game starts, whether it's the other team just having a magnificent performance, or a guy's not showing up for the Gaff, or something going unexpected, or a guy getting hurt early, they just end up dropping the ball. So it's really just hard for me to pick them right now. And I'm just going to go the other way with a team that has found a way to win. I hear what you're saying on the Aaron Rodgers tip, but I mean, somebody's got to catch the ball. They're going to continue to throw. And Tanyan's not a bad candidate to do that, especially if you're putting him in at the tight end position. A position where, I mean, if you don't have Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews for the most part, I mean, you rolling the dice anyway. So I don't mind that play with Robert Tanyan. Like I said, I'm loving D-Hop and Cooper Kupp. Those have been some stud receivers. DeAndre Swift, by the week, is getting back up to speed. Eventually, he'll be back up to full speed. Once he is, that is only going to take the United players to a much higher level, having a diverse running back who can do a lot of different things. I mean, this guy can run the ball, catch the ball, and he's extremely fast. Derrick Henry, he bruised the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night, and I expect that to continue against the Denver Broncos. I think Tom Brady's gonna begin to ramp up. I think that the Bucs are gonna begin to get a little healthier as the season goes along, and his performances will get better, and that's only gonna help the United players. On the Gaff side, I do like Jalen Hurts. I do like A.J. Brown, but I think that some of what they're doing, I believe, is starting to be a little overstated. Sure, they're winning the game. Sure, they're effective, but they're not. It's not like Andrews and Lamar. It's not like Kelce and Mahomes. I mean, it's not some great. It's not even like Tua and Jalen Waddle or Tua and Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's been a solid connection. It's been good for real life victories, but for fantasy purposes, it's been a little bit hit or miss. I say it's a bit of a miss this week, and the United players get this win, powered by a big game from Cooper Kupp against the Arizona Cardinals. I got the United players getting this win, 127 to the Gaff's 122. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into the Alpha Conference for a matchup of two teams sitting near the bottom, or at the bottom of Alpha. We've got the Argonauts taking on the Baby Gas team. All right, man, the Argonauts put up a competitive matchup with Only for the Boss, but in the end, the better team won that matchup. The BGT also hung in there with Squad underestimated for a while, but in the end, Squad pulled away. Both of these teams not having the season they expected, specifically the Argonauts. What do you think of this one? Argonauts looking to hang on to their season, playing the Baby Gas team who's probably already tapped out.
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate for 5 weeks this week because, BGT has won an Alpha Conference games.
Wow.
I think if they were healthy, they would be really competing for it. But without Joe Burrow, the rest of the Cincinnati guys he has, I mean, it's going to be really hard. I mean, this team just has been dealing with really bad injuries.
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott's fall off. Jameis just really didn't develop in New Orleans. J.K. Dobbins. I mean, injuries have really just affected this team throughout. I don't like the Vikings coach at Buffalo. I mean, we know Josh Allen is got an injury designation. We don't know how serious it is.
Right.
But I mean, if he plays, I've got Buffalo beating the Vikings.
Yeah.
Other side, I mean, you said it. I mean, Argos played competitively, one of their best lines of the season. I mean, when you look at what they did in the previous matchup, I mean, they handled BGT. I just think that they've got more talent right now, top to bottom, and it's not hampered by the bye week. I just look at the lineup and look at the matchups. They have solidly challenging matchups on defense, but they're talented.
Yeah.
And they're going to get theirs. I mean, Chris Olave is showing that I mean, he was one of those late round picks that again has made his way into the starting lineup.
Right.
The challenging area for the Argos, and again, it's been tight end play. We saw last week getting nothing out of Higbee. He's going with the Dalton Schultz look. I love that play this week against Green Bay. And again, Devontae, we saw what he could do last week, and basically did it all in one half. So I've got Argo in my leave no doubt performance lock of the week. I just think that they hit hard this week, and I'm going to go with the Argos going 146 to Baby Gas Team's 88.
All right, I'm gonna agree with you, man, but I'm not gonna curse him with the lock of the week that you like to throw on teams. But I'm gonna go there with you. I really like if especially if Zeke ends up not playing, I really like Tony Pollard against the Packers. I like Devontae Adams against the Colts, and I like the Dalton Schultz play a lot too. I am a little concerned, though, about those two Vikings going up against the Buffalo defense at Buffalo. It's not so much their performance. It's what the Buffalo defense could potentially do to one Kirk Cousins, really get him off his spot, get him uncomfortable on the road in the cold. Kirk's not the kind of guy known to stand up in those conditions. On the BGT side, I mean, it's really a joke to even try to scout this matchup, just based on the fact that so many plays aren't in play yet. The BGT is likely to look at this lineup later in the week, either Thursday or Saturday or Sunday, before they make their final decisions. Could the BGT put together a free agency team that could beat the Argonauts? I mean, in past years, I would say no. This year, I would say it's actually possible. But in the end, we're going to go with what we know here. And I'm going to lean towards the Argonauts getting the win. And I would say also watch out for Chris Olave to have a good performance. Him and Andy Dalton have a pretty good rapport. I got the Argonauts getting the win, getting back on track, getting only their second Alpha Conference victory of the season, 124 to the Baby Gas Team's 107. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into our interconference matchup of the week. We got a big one here, a good one here, one worthy of prestige matchup of the week. But hey, we're going to save that one for something else. We've got the Skulls taking on Only for the Boss. All right, man. So Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb. We got Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs. There's some star power here, but we don't know if we're going to see all of that star power because Josh Allen is ailing, man. What do you think of this one? Only for the Boss on the warpath back to the Pantheon Cup, taking on the Skulls.
Yeah, I mean, Only for the Loss, coming off a really good quality win against the Argo, where most of his team came back off of a bye.
Right.
Only for the Boss, like you said, it's star power, man. I love Nick Chubb. I mean, again, he violent runner. I've got Cleveland winning that game. Miles Sanders, again, he should be heavily involved in that rush game against Washington.
Right.
Allen Lazard was a surprise. I mean, we haven't seen much play, but he got over 16 points last week. And Travis Kelce, I mean, he's going with the double tight formation this week. Kelce and Kittle. We've seen it a few other times in the PPL. And it's been relatively successful. Again, I just think that he's got more star power when I look across the way with Josh Allen having the questionable designation. I just really think that, Josh Allen needs to be healthy for me to be really confident with this team.
Yeah.
Because, again, Aaron Jones and company, he's also got a designation. And some of these other guys, I mean, could it happen? Sure. But, I mean, Jamal Williams playing Chicago, they have a decent defense. Same with McLaurin. I mean, Philly's one of the better defenses. And, again, Darren Waller has an injury designation against Indy. And there's just something up with Las Vegas. I mean, they can't get right. So I've got Only for the Boss cruising to a 7th victory in a row.
Okay.
I've got them going 138 to the Skulls 121.
No, I'm with you, man. With the Josh Allen injury looming over the Skulls, they've already been hit a bit hard by the injury bug. Ramondre Stevenson on the bye. This is just really a bad week for the Skulls to have an encounter with Only for the Boss. The Boss looked awesome Sunday night. Patrick Mahomes was in rare form. running, throwing. It didn't matter. Whatever they needed, he got for them. Alan Lazard was a great last-minute waiver wire pickup. And this is a dimension only for the Bosses added to their repertoire. Not known for making those good free agency pickups in the past. Were able to do that this week, and it really helped them lead them to a victory. Stephon Diggs, what's not to like there? Like you said, Nick Chubb's back in the lineup. Deebo Samuel, I think, might even be healthy enough to jump back in. And if they get him back, I don't even see this thing being close. I mean, obviously, sometimes we say that, and then the matchup is a complete upset the other way. But I just really don't see how the Skulls find a way with an ailing Josh Allen. That could potentially affect Buffalo coach. No star receiver to depend on. Terry McLaurin's all right, but they're starting to miss Jamar Chase, and they're gonna probably miss the victory this week. I got only for the Boss getting this win, stretching their record out, running away with that number 1 seed once and for all. I got only for the Boss getting to 9-1 on the season, 141 to the Skulls 126. And moving on to our prestige matchup of the week. We have a big one in Alpha. 2 teams jockeying for position, playoff position, even Alpha Conference title position. We've got I Need About TREY FIDDY taking on Squad Underestimated. All right, man, so we got TREY FIDDY and Squad. Huge one here for both of these teams. Squad Underestimated has to try to keep pace with only for the Boss. They need an Alpha Conference victory. TREY FIDDY has lost now 2 in a row. They need to get back on track. They can't find themselves falling out of that wild card mix. What do you think of this one, man? TREY FIDDY and Squad Underestimated. 2 teams who have exchanged 2 trades over the past 2 trades. I would say TREY FIDDY probably wishes they had back.
Well, maybe, but I mean, they're still in position, and I mean, putting up decent stat lines. I mean, a Dak Prescott coming back really helps.
Okay.
I mean, FIDDY has been a really surprise, I think, for a lot of people around the league with what he's been able to do.
Yeah.
And Jalen Waddle, Chris Godwin, I mean, these guys that could very well produce. Chris Godwin, I mean, by and large, has not had the season we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Kyle Pitts was a guy that Squad had high hopes on.
Right.
And again, had to move on.
Right.
One area that we'll see, big question mark, Chuba Hubbard getting into the lineup.
Yeah.
But then you look, both teams basically flip-flop coach and defense. You know, 49ers coach with TREY FIDDY, defense with Squad. Defensive Cowboys with TREY FIDDY, coach with Squad.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes this a little bit more of an intriguing matchup. This is going to come down to just individual battles.
Okay.
Kyler Murray playing the Rams team that has been able to get at him. And so we'll see what that looks like. I think Saquon should have a field day against Houston. We saw what Josh Jacobs did to them a few weeks ago. Saquon should have a similar day. Christian McCaffrey, again, I think similarly. But, man, Tyreek can't stop, won't stop. Hill, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's no answers. Surely not in Cleveland. Again, when I look at the individual guys, and I mean, Squad has just really positioned themselves for now. And Kenyon Drake played hero last week, but I mean, when you're stacked this deep, you can get it from anywhere. And you just look at the average lines on this. I think that the stat line's probably about accurate. If Squad performs here, I've got Squad winning this one relatively, comfortably, and really keeping pace in Alpha. I've got him going 140 to I Need About TREY FIDDY's 119.
All right. I agree with you. I'm going with Squad Underestimated as well. I still do think that TREY looms large. I'm looking at Saquon Barkley. I'm looking at Tyreek Hill sitting on Squad Underestimated side. I mean, even on their bench depth, they've got great depth with Leonard Fournette. And when Hollywood Brown gets back, he'll be another great piece. The Squad Underestimated actually got back in the previous trade from before. On the other side, I'm only seeing really of any effect from that trade, Jalen Waddle and maybe Mozart. Kyle Pitts has not been anything. Even David Njoku, I would say, has been better than Pitts. on a probably a game-to-game basis, but I'd have to look that up. Looking into this matchup, though, I don't think it's close at all. I do like Travis Etienne against Kansas City. They shown that they're vulnerable against the run against the Tennessee Titans Sunday night, and I expect that he can do some good things. But I also think Kansas City can get ahead earlier in the matchup, and that could leave Etienne obsolete, although he is a very good receiver out of the backfield. But at the end of the day, Christian McCaffrey on Sunday Night Football, Saquon Barkley going up against a soft Houston run defense. We saw what the Eagles did to that run defense last Thursday. Alvin Kamara going up against, not your father, Still Curtin. I mean, there's really nothing not to like on Squad Underestimated side. You mentioned that the Rams have had the Arizona Cardinals number, particularly Kyler Murray's. And while I'm inclined to agree with you, the Rams have just not looked very good the last couple of weeks. So the Cardinals may have room to be able to exploit a few things, and maybe Kyler can kind of get that monkey off of his back and get a solid performance. I do like Dak against Green Bay, but he's not the same guy on the road that he is at home. I love Jalen Waddle, and I do like Raheem Mostert. But at the end of the day, you got Chuba Hubbard in the flex against Alvin Kamara. I think that talks about what the gulf in this matchup actually really is. I got Squad Underestimated getting a big win in the prestige matchup of the week, stretching the Alpha Conference record out and setting up a huge showdown late in the season with Only for the Boss. I got Squad Underestimated getting this one 129 to TREY 50's 118. Alrighty, PPLers, thanks for another great week of PPL Live. I had a great week. I hope you did too. It is the home stretch now. It's starting to get clear who the contenders and pretenders are. We're about to find out after another week. After week 10, there will be no more hiding. Good luck. Have a good weekend, and may the odds be ever in your favor.